Okay, call to order the meeting of Mayor and Council. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Before we open with our invocation tonight, I do want to recognize that we lost a city employee, Mr. Scott Colburn. If you have played or your family or kids have played on the fields in this city in the past 30, 35 years, Scott's hands have been a part of that. He was a valued member of this community, lifelong member of the Seaford community. To see Mount Olivet packed with the number of people just showed the impact and the lives he touched in his short time here on this earth. So we're going to have a moment of silence before we open with the invocation. If you'll rise, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord and our Master, thank you for this beautiful day you have given us. Thank you for the group at this table and the people in this room that are here for the well-being of our city today and in the future. Please give us faith, wisdom, and strength to carry out these tasks. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Who's been standing for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. Okay, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, as a reminder to council, we do have an executive session following our regular meeting. You've all received the minutes from our July 25th meeting. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion to receive those minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried unanimously. You also received August 14th minutes. If there's no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion to receive those minutes.
So moved.
Councilman McCoy, is there a second?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just a point that I will be abstaining from this vote. I was not in attendance at that meeting.
Understood. Okay, do we have a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried unanimous. All right, we always open up our meetings with public comment, and since there is a lot of folks here tonight, I assume some of you are on the list to speak. Just so you understand what public comment is, it's your opportunity to speak to council. You get 3 minutes to share your thoughts on whatever it is. Try to keep it under 3 minutes. There are a lot of people who may want to speak. It's also annoying to hear that buzzer go off if you go over, so if you could just try to be respectful of the other people. Public comment is just that. It's your opportunity to share your comment. It's not a back and forth conversation. So with that, we'll find out who is first on the list, and we'll call them up. You'll come up to the mic, you'll introduce yourself and state where you live.
Robert Sharp.
Mr. Sharp?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Sharp, and I live in the Seaford community that's still currently being developed now in the third phase. A little bit about my background. I'm a 40-year volunteer firefighter. I work for state government Maryland right now as an OSHA officer. I have some concerns that the council may or may not be aware of as far as the Seaford community and what's going on. We've had an influx of new families moving in, which is great. The problem that we have is we're having 10, 15, 20 people living in one single family dwelling. I have addresses that I prepared for, I believe it's your building inspector, Brian. I might have his name wrong. He was supposed to get in contact with me. I never received a call back. He might be busy. I get that. So am I with my job. But there's some dangers lying within Muirfield that you're not aware of. I have witnessed and seen houses that are storing hazardous material chemicals in their garages, corrosives, 255 poly drums of corrosive in one garage. There's no need for that. I've seen 25-gallon polys that are not labeled. I, as a firefighter, which I serve in Seaford since I moved here, I've been there about almost a year, respond to these houses. Anything that goes on in my community, I relay to my chief and my guys. We need to watch out for this. It's a hidden danger that we don't need. I would like to see more involvement from a community standpoint with people coming door to door, not just sending out notices and interacting with these people. It's a wide variety. it's a melting pot in there. We have Haitian families moving in, everybody, which I don't object to. I object to the fact that you're taking a brand-new community and it's looking like something that we don't want to live in. I bought that house brand new in the end of the third phase back in October of 2021, but from what I am seeing, I've had interactions with the so-called management company that runs the HOA. We have no formal HOA in our community. We've had one community meeting that went nowhere. Different people to try to make contact, we're not getting anywhere. So,
Okay.
in my opinion, we're stuck. I have experience running a fire department when I was in Queen Anne's County. 5 years as a president of Graysonville Fire Department. I am well aware of budgets, management, and everything. I'm not saying I'll run the HOA, but I think I'd have a better chance with my qualifications and experience than anybody else. But we're stuck. That's why I'm coming here tonight to let you know about, one, the dangers in the community that you may not be aware of. I know some of them you are, as far as some houses have maybe 10 to 15 people in it. And it's true. I have my list, and I'm not the nosy, whatever person wants to say. It's just when I pull up on a scene or I observe this going on, I take caution to it. This isn't the world of 20 years ago. So I say 15, 20 people rotating out in a work van to go to work every morning. Where are you building?
Right.
We have houses that are building extra rooms. They try taking their garages and building bedrooms in them. It's a danger. It's not what we signed up for when we moved here. Honestly, I moved over here to Delaware with my wife's encouragement because my retirement will look better here in the state of Delaware. And everywhere we travel up and down here, I've loved. But like I said, it's just to the point where it's disturbing to me. Do I want to stay here, or do I want to move to another part of Delaware or even out of state? So that is what I am relaying to you. We have had police presence in our community for a couple of disturbances, and I applaud Seaford Police Department and the chief. I know he's sitting behind me. I have a family that is nothing but blue. I'm the guy that went to the red side with my parents, and we're the fire side. But I know what he's going through. But I still think that more community policing would be another good thing as well. And I know manpower shortages and everything like that, budgets, it cuts a lot of the funding for things. But I think we need to reach out more to the citizens before it turns into something we don't want, then you'll have to deal with more of it.
Understood.
So I thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. If you have any
Mr.
questions for me.
Mr. Sharp, would you mind leaving your contact information? And if you have that list on the back with Ashley, and she'll make sure I get it, and I'll follow up with you.
Not a problem, sir.
Okay.
Thank you all.
very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Robin Verrett.
Ms. Robin?
Good evening. My name is Robin Veretti. I'm a homeowner on Magnolia Drive. I live very close to the locked gate, and I've come to voice my concern about safety. The chained and locked gate across Magnolia Drive is itself an issue of public safety and emergency preparedness. It not only impacts the safety of citizens along Magnolia, Bel Air, and attached roads, it also impacts first responders who may use the gate to provide their services to those citizens. For the City of Seaford, written safety procedures for the gate are essential because responsibility must be clearly assigned to avoid confusion during emergencies. All the impacted citizens should be provided with a hard copy of the written safety procedures in English, Spanish, and French. We have many different language speakers back there. For how this gate across Magnolia Drive will be accessed by each department of the city: police, fire, EMS, and public works. Just saying that any emergency vehicle can get through via the knockbox or that they can get through via Atlanta Road is not good enough, excuse me, when citizens' lives are in danger. Remember, that gate becomes especially important if the entrance at Atlanta Brighton is blocked for any reason. These written safety procedures should detail how the gate will be accessed by each department 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including holidays. They should list the Knoxbox contact information for each department and their backups for 24/7 coverage. Physical training on unlocking the gate should also be considered so that city employees can learn how to open the gate quickly and efficiently when needed. Pardon me. These written safety procedures should be reviewed and updated yearly and mailed via U.S. postal mail to each resident of Magnolia Drive. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Bel Air, and attached roads. The City of Seaford should assign staff to maintain the safety procedures and be a point of contact for citizens who may need to ask questions, make suggestions, or get copies. If these written safety procedures currently exist, then they should be mailed out immediately to all affected citizens. And the Emergency Preparedness Committee tab on the Seaford City website should have some information out there, not just be blank. If they have not been written, then a project to create them needs to be a top priority for the City of Seaford. In addition, if these written safety procedures do not yet exist, then the locked gate across Magnolia Drive needs to be reopened immediately, because it is a public safety hazard, and no emergency preparedness plan is in place. That means the safety and lives of the citizens living around the gate, gate are in jeopardy every day, and you, City of Seaford, are accountable. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Robin. It's a terrible sound. For council's understanding, we're going to hold off on the public comment or the public hearing section until public comment is done, okay? Okay. Ashley, who is next on our list
Roxanne Knights.
this night?
Good afternoon, gentlemen and staff. My name is Roxanne Knights. I live at 1139 Magnolia Drive in Seaford, behind the lock gate. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the communication effects of what happened prior to the gate going up. In dealing with the community in itself, there was a lot of communication said to me about the fact that they did not understand exactly what was going to happen. They mentioned that some of the community does not speak English, and the documents that were sent out in English. It was very vague, and it wasn't clear enough, and a lot of them didn't know what was really going to happen. We had to use translators when walking around communicating with people about the gate and its situation on the phones in order to get exclamations as to what is really going on. So we as a committee, Robin being one of our leads, already came up with just a few things, and we're looking forward to having that meeting we discussed at the gate. Hopefully we can come up with a date and a time soon. But at this current time, I too also, along with my committee and the Bel Air community, would like to have the gate removed until further notice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Tom and Pamela McLaughlin.
My name is Tom McLaughlin. I live at 815 Magnolia Drive, and I've lived there since 1973. Now, my concern tonight is about when they started to develop that land back there, there was a proposed gate in the initial procedure when they were going to do it. So, for some odd reason, they decided not to do it. And I'm not sure, I'm not privy to that information. But since that gate has been put up, which has not been very long, the traffic on Magnolia Drive has really calmed way down. I was sitting in my house in the backyard. I couldn't hear the traffic at all. Prior to that, it was constant. And I understand that's a thoroughfare, and people are going to use it from back there in the development. Now, my concern is the speed limit has dropped considerably. Whereas before, 40, 45, 47 miles an hour, not unheard of. And those speed bumps, that did not deter them. Now, 15 miles an hour is posted. Front end, back end of Magnolia Drive. They do not adhere to that. I had a cat killed. The lady up the street had a dog killed. So, going entirely too fast. If they would have adhered to the speed limit, I don't think we'd be here tonight. All you have to do is follow the law. Now, either you do or you don't. If you're a law follower, it's no problem. 15 is 15. I understand that's kind of hard to do sometimes. But 40, 45, that's unacceptable. And throwing your trash out of your car when you come by. Every morning when I get up, I'm standing there at the window. I watch people come out of that development, and they'll throw their McDonald's or what have you on the street. You just don't do that if you're a rule follower. Now, if you're not, you don't care, and you don't care about your community. Magnolia Drive, Woodside Manor has always been a nice, quiet community. Now, things have changed. So I think that's why most of us are here. I understand the safety aspect, but I think the fire department, the police department have done enough surveys to know the time difference between running down Magnolia and going around on Atlanta Road. Maybe that should be adhered to. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Matt, and I don't want to butcher this. He's at 712 East Ivy Drive. Matt? How about an Anthony Falk? Did you want to speak? No? Okay. Next, Jay Milligan.
Jay Milligan, 1 Crossgate Drive. Good evening, Mayor and Council. You know, my issue here is pretty much all based around safety, and I'm going to give you some incidents where I feel the way I do. You know, I've lived in Seaford a long time, and Woodside Manor was built back in the 50s when a lot of young engineers with DuPont came. They had 1 car, the wife stayed home, they had a driveway and a 1-car garage. Today, everybody, including myself, has 2 or 3 cars. So with that being said, on both sides of Magnolia, there's a pretty good amount of cars. 2 cars cannot pass on that without pulling over and waiting for somebody else. And that's really not a major problem to me either. But I think the Magnolia has entirely too much traffic on it for what it was really put in place for years ago. The other issue I have, and this has really happened to me and I've been really concerned about it, is when you go out Magnolia, and what Mr. McLaughlin mentioned about the speed is certainly the truth, because I live right at Crossgate and right at that intersection, and Crossgate and Magnolia. And the cars, well, coming out of Magnolia, or in the back, they rarely stopped at the stop sign first, which give them a running start. I happened to be in my yard one morning when some crotch rocket motorcycle, those real fast ones, that guy was a blur when he came out and went up Magnolia. That's before they put the speed bumps in between the temporary and the permanent ones. I heard him all the way out on Stein Highway, ripping. That might be the one that was running over 100 miles an hour. I think somebody was clocked there, I heard. But I've gone at Magnolia and somebody, you know, parked out on the street, typically reaches for a pocketbook, opens the door. I've had to stop or take her door off. That's happened twice. I've had a situation coming up Magnolia where I was trained in defensive driving years ago, that you see a car parked up there, you look underneath of it when you're back far enough to see if there's any little feet. And I've seen little feet come out. So that's happened a couple of times, chasing a ball. Another situation, a little one was on a small bicycle and fell off out in the road. That's 3 incidents. The other incidents that when I back out of my driveway, people used to come out of the back and turn on Crossgate significantly. And I had to be really careful, but I did. But the real deal is when I was ahead of them, I was going too slow, so they passed me. And that's happened twice. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Brandy Thompson.
gentlemen.
Good evening.
So, I live on Magnolia Drive in the back, all the way in the back. And I wrote something because I want to kind of stick to the script here. Of course, I am here today to talk to you about the gate and would like it to be removed. My name is Brandy. I have 2 kids, and I've lived in the community in the back for over 7 years. The reason why I am mentioning this because the reason for the gate is too many folks are riding in the front development at an irate speed, and you're trying to protect the community. Basically trying to protect the kids that live, at the end of the community, or, the other people that live in the community. I'm not trying to make this a discriminating matter, but we as a community in the back have children as well. In fact, I can almost guarantee you that we have more children in the back side of the community than up front. I can totally understand that there is speeders in the neighborhood, but I do not believe for 1 second that that gate has caused a tremendous change in the neighborhood. The permanent speed bumps were up for maybe 3 weeks max, and then you put the gate right up after that and claim that the studies did show a tremendous difference. I truly believe that there are other options, and I think adding more speed bumps throughout the community would definitely help out a lot. I feel like we are singled out because there's more traffic on that road due to the development growing. Not once did you involve the community as one to get our input. The decision was already made, but a little reminder, this is a public road which is made to be driven on. I say add more speed bumps, remove the gate, and give us back our rights to the public road. Thank you.
Next, we have Trista Maples.
I'm pretty new to Delaware. I moved here a couple years ago in October of 2021.
Excuse me, would you mind stating your name and address
Yes,
for the record?
Trista Maples, and I live at 900 Cherry Blossom Lane. I'm in the Bel Air development. And I just wanted to, I was very surprised that a cattle gate was even put on a public road. And what I've researched so far is that it is illegal to put the cattle gate on a public road. Everybody should have access to that road. From what I understand, we did receive a notice, and I read over it, and it was not clear, as Roxanne had stated about it. It wasn't real clear as to what, I kind of figured it'd be more like a security gate or something since it's a new community and development over there. Anyway, and if you read down, it's very easy and simple. It says that there's also supposed to be a permit that's supposed to be, I don't know, I would like to know who actually placed the gate on the road, and did they get a permit for it, because from what I'm understanding is it's illegal to even have it on the road. And I understand it's because people are complaining about people speeding, and well, that's what police are for, to give tickets out to deter people from doing that. So I don't know. I think it needs to come down, personally. That's my opinion. That's what I got to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Tristan.
Last on the list is Chris Maples.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Name's Christopher Maples, 900 Cherry Blossom Drive. Lane, whatever it is. Anyway, you get the idea. All right, I'm not well-spoken like some of these other folk. The gist of the matter is the gate does become an inconvenience. I understand about the speeding. Of course, speed bumps were put in. 1 week later, gate was put in. Didn't give time to have any actual residual effect. It does become an inconvenience for those that have to take their kids on wet, rainy, cold days to drop them off at the bus stop for the Sussex technical bus stop. It's just right around the corner, but now they have to drive all the way around just to get there. The road over at Atlanta, when you're exiting that, when you go all the way down to, Stein Road to turn left, if this gate is going to stay, right there, when you turn left, it's 2 lanes to turn left, right? But there's no lines there to keep the people in their perimeters when they're turning. So that, I've almost been sideswiped a few times just doing that. So we definitely need to look into that if that's going to stay. Personally, I'd rather see the gate go away. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a hindrance, inconvenience. But, you know, I get if you feel that it has to be there, but I don't think you really left enough time for the speed bumps to take effect. Now, on another thing, the majority of the cities you go to, speed limits in residential areas are 25 miles per hour. On the main road, 4-lane road, 40 miles per hour. You know, 15 miles per hour, heck, I can walk 15 miles per hour. I am a very fast man. I've walked all my life. I do about 10 to 11 miles a day walking. And if you follow everybody around, I can guarantee you'll find that most people drive over that. The other thing too is that like for example on Facebook, a guy named Jim H.E. was referring to the area back there as Little Ghetto and stuff. Well, okay, I'm sorry, but there's a diverse population that live back there. They're not ghetto. You're going to have bad, you're going to have good, no matter what. But this guy proclaims that he's been writing the state and all these other council people and, you know, other agencies for a long time. Okay, well, I'm sorry, dude. You've already moved. Shut up and go home. You know, but at the same time, though, you know, if it's a discrimination thing, no, it shouldn't be. That should never be into effect of anything. You know, we are hardworking people. We pay a lot to live back there. A lot more than these other homeowners pay for their homes. I guarantee you that. So, but to discriminate against an area is wrong. Real quick though, over in that neighborhood, I mean, you've got a house with a tarp up where it's been run into by a car and it still looks like a disaster. You've got a house over there that 3 o'clock in the morning in that neighborhood was 3 or 4 police cars. So it's nothing exemplary and different from another area. Okay. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anybody else that maybe failed to sign the sheet that wanted to get up and say something? Yes, sir.
My name is Dwight Short. I live at 710 East Ivy Drive, and we live right on the corner. And we have noticed a nice difference since the gate has been put up in the amount of traffic, of course, but also the speeders and the reckless driving and the people who don't stop at the stop sign. But there are a couple of other safety factors, I think, involved. The speeders certainly are one. The second are the big trucks who are carrying that material down for the builders. Magnolia is not a wide street, and as has been said, with a car parked on each side of that street, it's very difficult for those big trucks to maneuver down that street. And that does create a safety problem. If someone should step out from behind a car with that big wide truck coming there, they wouldn't see them. So these are a couple of the factors. And it was nice that the gate now has caused those trucks to maneuver out to Atlanta Road and come in that way. So I think those things are some of the positives of the gate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We do have one more, Mr. Paul Sell.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Paul Sell. We live on 327 Pine Street. Haven't been here for a while because my jobs keep me at work a little later at night, and been on Tuesday Night Golf League, which I turned down so I could be here. Some of the concerns I've had have already been addressed, like multi-occupants in dwellings. We have that problem on my street. One house in particular has had the police called many times since the landlord who owns that house has had that property. There was one like police were actually there 3 times in one night. I know, I've talked to council, talked to Chief Kraft. I know there's some things in the works that hopefully will, alleviate this problem, which I'm glad, and I'm keeping involved with that. Also heard a lot about the cattle gate on Magnolia, the problem with speeding. Well, we have speeding on Pine Street also. We have people going down a one-way street, down the wrong way. The speed bumps on Nylon Boulevard and the gate at Magnolia. Okay, there's some positive things I've heard about the gate, but I don't think that's the best solution. My idea of the best solution is enforcement. Stop these people, give them tickets, take some hard-earned money out of their pocket, and you'll see a big difference that way. And I know that the officers, the police are short-staffed right now, and I understand that, but still, it doesn't change the fact that enforcement is gonna be your best bet to stop speeders. I especially hate Nylon Boulevard speed bumps because I drive a Mazda Miata, and I've got to go over real slow. I got, at best, a half-inch clearance. So, personally, I like to see the gate go, and I like to see the speed bumps go, and do more enforcement. Because I remember when I was 16 years old and got my license, and coming over to Seaford in my little 65 Mustang from Federalsburg, meeting new people, making new friends, friends who I still have to this day. I still remember them telling me, if you go through Blades, don't you speed, because they will pull you over. And that's been over 50 years ago. You know, when I go through Blades now, I still think to myself, you better go to speed limit, they're going to pull you over, even though that doesn't happen in Blades anymore. So enforcement is the answer, and that's what I want to come here to say. And welcome to Mike, the new councilman.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Sell. Good to see you. Why don't you just walk up? You're up. Come on down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alvin Quells. I live 126 Bear Air Drive, and I'm going to talk about that gate. That gate, as far as I'm concerned, needs to come down. It's done thrown me out of my comfort zone. I'm not used to going out to Atlanta Road and going through 3 red lights to get to where I'm going, and I'm going on the other side of town. You just throwed my whole schedule off. Them speed bumps, you didn't get the chance for the speed bumps to work. And another thing, you need speed bumps down Bear Air Drive. That's a good stretch down there. I walk every morning. I see cars going up and down that Bear Air Drive. I know they're running 45, 50 miles an hour. Every morning I see this. They're not stopping at the stop sign. So if that gate is gonna stay there, put more speed bumps in, take that cattle gate down and put up a decent gate, electric gate or something. You're running people's property down back there. $200,000 and $300,000 homes, and you got a cattle gate out there. Put up a decent gate. So that's what I got to say. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oh, another thing.
No.
Coming back. Back to that speeders. Okay, we got speeders out there. I see it all the time. But my thing is, if the police force get up on their job, go get the speeders. I used to work on a job that was union. And I had a union rep that represented us, and we was getting double time on Sunday, time and a half on Saturday. And the manager of the company said, well, we want to take double time off the table because so many people are abusing it. You know what our union rep told him? He said, them one that's abusing it, you go get them. But them ones that want that time and a half on Saturday, double time on Sunday, coming in here busting their butt, trying to provide for their families, you leave them alone. Double time stays on the table. So I say the same thing about them speeders. Police force, step it up. The speeders, get them. The speed bumps will work. When they get tired of putting mufflers on, tearing their front ends out underneath their vehicles, they'll get them speed bumps respect. Up in the front and down in the back. They'll slow it down. They'll slow it down. Let them have to do enough repairs to the vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alvin, will you come back to the next meeting? Yeah, that's all. You want to come down? Yep.
Okay. My name is Emily Messick. I live at 1111 Magnolia Drive, and I've heard a few things being said. With that being said, I come from a generation of DuPont workers, okay? So I've lived on Hickory Lane. I've lived on Hurley Park Drive. I lived on Magnolia. I've lived on Middleford, okay? Ever been on that road? And I've never seen anyone put up speed bumps through any of those places. I still have family members that live in those communities, right? Not to mention, we have built, not we, but against what we wanted, the original owners, right? Because I've been back there since 2015. They have created 80 new townhomes and continuing to do so within 2 years. No one has said that. No one. And they're still building. Okay? So there is speeding everywhere. The only reason I feel like there's a gate back there is because nobody else in Seaford can see it. Are you really gonna put, like, homes over here in Hurley Heights are not going for $400,000 where Matt McCoy lives. On Nylon Boulevard, Reed Street, all of those streets, they're going for way more. Are you gonna put a gate like that over on Nylon Boulevard, on Reed Street, for the speeders over there? Absolutely not, because that's where everyone wants to live. They can't afford it. I did some research on the new homes back there, that Bel Air Estates and Bel Air are not the same, okay? We're the originals, okay? So if I want to rent my home, which I can if I want to, I'm competing with those homes that are somehow going an end unit with no garage, $2,000 a month. I'm 32 years old. I bought that house when I was real young and got real lucky. And I've made myself a nice little financial, you know what I mean? And now you're just squashing me. It makes me want to get the heck out of Seaford, out of Delaware, out of Maryland, and just dip. I'm from generations of Seaford and DuPont individuals. I mean, it just goes on and on. So that's all I really have to say, and I'm sure I'll think of more things to say because I'm just that way. But it's a lot to think about. And I like to sleep an extra 10 minutes in the morning, okay? Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're going to close our public comment. We're also going to close our regular meeting. We're going to open up our public hearing. Now, some of you may want to stay and be here for the meeting. We'd love for you to stay. Council meetings can be fun sometimes, but if you were choosing to leave at this point, now would be a good time, and we'll sort of pause while the rustling happens and let people who just came for the public comment, let them leave, and then we'll go into our public comment. Hearing, sorry. Okay, so it is 7:38. We're going to close our regular meeting, open up our public hearing. I'm going to let our city manager walk us through.
Okay, public hearing item number 1 is OLL Ventures LLC on behalf of Neighbor Good Partners LLC, and they're seeking a sketch plan review of a 10-acre parcel for a potential rezoning from C2 to R1 for a development of 30 single-family homes. That property is located at Bridgeville Highway and Dutton Avenue, tax map and parcel 331 5.00-50.05. Council has in their package a letter from the developer, Joe Meyer, Neighbor Good Partners. I want to let you know that Neighbor Good Partners is withdrawing its sketch plan review application for mayor and council hearing on August 22nd. Just for council's edification, the Planning and Zoning Commission did not recommend approval, so there was a discussion between the building official and the developer. He decided to withdraw that request. So we just wanted to make council aware because we did advertise this as a public hearing.
You're going to continue on?
Thank you. So, public hearing item number 2 is present proposed revisions to the Seaford zoning ordinance, section 15-29, uses by right A1 to include warehouses and storage uses in association with general merchandise stores, department stores, and other permitted uses in the zone. Just a little background, we did have the first reading of this proposed zoning change on July 11th, sorry. And there were no questions or comments from council. The change is to actually Division 1, C1 general commercial districts, but it'll apply to C1 and C2 zoning districts. So this just opens it up that any general merchandise store, department store, 5 and 10 variety store, anything like that, drugstore, sporting goods, can have associated warehouses and distribution facilities in association with them. Because this is a change to the zoning ordinance, we do have to do a public hearing in case there are any public comments. Council will notice this item is also on old business number 1 for its second reading. Should council decide this evening they want to adopt this, they have that choice, and then if so, we would advertise that for 30 days and then it would become effective.
Okay. Are we doing council?
Any public comment?
Does council have any questions in regards to this change? No. Does the public have any questions or comments in regards to this change?
I think I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
So if an existing department store would normally get a variance or an accommodation for on-site storage and they decided to build a warehouse on that site, how does that work? I mean, is that our use by right with this?
I'm not sure I 100% understand the question. We're seeing a lot, there's been a change since our zoning ordinance was written with different uses. So we're seeing the rise of warehouse stores, distribution facilities that have a small storefront. So we are being approached by the business community to develop that type of thing. And it didn't necessarily fit into our zoning ordinance as written.
I think I understand. Say a carpet warehouse wants a showroom.
That's a good one. Yep.
And a place to finalize a sale.
Yep.
Right. And that would be in C1.
Or C2.
Well, it's specifically stated in C2, so I guess whatever's in C1 could be in C2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, all right. So I'm just, so whatever existing building, it doesn't, well, I guess anybody could have a use by right to build a building if they could put it in on the lot.
If it would fit,
Yeah,
yep, meet the
so-
setbacks, yep.
Because what brings to mind is, you have temporary storage, Board of Appeals or the Board of Adjustments rights for temporary storage on sites.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really fit with that.
Correct. So I kind of have your question now. So as an example, some of the tire changing businesses, some of the box retailers bring in sea containers annually or seasonally for goods storage. That still does require a visit to the Board of Adjustment because that's not permanent space. Under this, it would be a use by right, but they would build warehousing in conjunction with the primary use. Does that make sense?
That clears it up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there was no comment from the public or from City Council, so we'll move on to number 3.
I have a comment.
Yes, sir. Please come up to the mic, Mr. Vane.
So just, Chris Vane, 133 North Pine, so do you say it when you're at the mic? Say it now. Chris Vane, 133 North Pine. So just to be clear, when we're talking about storage, we're talking about something on a foundation, correct? Not a storage container a shed that you can buy them down the highway.
Correct. Now, we do permit storage containers to be used, and you'll see them around when you ride around.
Right.
But it's done by the Board of Adjustment, and it is a maximum of 120 days.
Okay.
Okay?
So that's a temporary thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yearly, they have to come every year to reapply.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I just wanted to get some clarification.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions from the public? Okay.
So,
All right,
new
that's it.
business number one.
All right, so new business number one. Are you leading that one?
I will.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. So the new business item number one is present for approval a request to extend the final plan approval for Lakeshore Motor Company LLC located on Sussex Highway, tax map and parcel 331-3.00-193.00, tax map and parcel number 193.12 and 193.13 for a proposed 24,000 square foot automobile sales and service center until June 23, 2025. So in council's package, we do have a request for plan approval extension. The owner would like to keep his plan alive. They have had some, this was for a car dealership, and they have had some issues during the COVID pandemic. So he would like to keep his plan approval alive for future construction. This is in accordance with our sunset policy. So council can, should they choose to, extend that plan approval for an additional 2 years.
Okay, are there any questions on this plan extension?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think has there been any input as to whether some of their other approvals would sunset, like environmental or highway approvals would sunset?
Yes, sir. So when people come to us with this, and we do this generally routinely, we do advise them that fire marshal approval, Sussex Conservation District, DelDOT approval, that's beyond our purview and control. So it's their responsibility to work backwards with those agencies to make sure they meet all their requirements. We do try to give them the heads up to do that. And just understand, just to maybe take that a little further, until all those approvals are given and are current, we will not issue permit for any construction on any project.
Because this is the final site plan. I mean, he won't, if we extend this, he doesn't have to come back.
Not to council, yes, sir, you're correct. It
So
would be an
it's for the
administrative
others.
approval.
Right.
Yeah, so as long as he has everything in order and they're current and approved, then the building official at his purview could issue permit.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to extend the final plan approval for Lakeshore Motor Company, LLC, located on Sussex Highway, tax map and parcel 331-3.00-193.00 and 193.12 and 193.13 for a proposed 24,000 square foot automobile sales and service center until June 23rd, 2025. That's 2 years as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. Are there any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote on this one. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, next we're going to invite up Mrs. Newcomer. Customer
evening, Mayor and
service
Council.
agreement.
Good evening.
Yep, so I have, in your packets, you have an updated customer advance agreement. This is with Chesapeake Utilities for the gas to be installed at the Western Sussex Business Campus. This came before you and was approved, and we entered into an agreement with them in April of 2021. Obviously, we were in the process of our construction at that time, and so we are now finally to the point where we do need the gas, but as part of the advance agreement, that if the work didn't commence within 6 months of the agreement, they have the right to revalue the estimate that was originally put forth. So they did do that. As you may or may not remember, we've already paid an advance of $101,444. The cost, as you know, with everything, has gone up, so there is an additional cost for this installation of the gas mains. So we need to supply an additional $37,142 to Chesapeake Utilities for this advance. The original 101,444 was the cost of the extension plus contingency. They included our contingency in that, and so when we go to the 138,586 is what the total would be. That includes no contingency, just so you know. But in order for us to get the gas lines in there and be able to service, particularly the first lot that's being under construction now with KRM, we do want to get this ball rolling. They have indicated to us that once we get the agreement signed, turned around back to them, they can mobilize probably within the next month to 2 months.
Okay, are there any questions for Mrs. Newcomer in regards to the Chesapeake Utilities Agreement? Yes, sir.
Has there been any thought about the source of the money? Should we approve it?
Yes, sir.
Whether it would be through the Chesapeake Utilities Franchise Reserve or the Bond Bill Reserve?
We would take those from the Chesapeake franchise fees.
Thank you.
Other questions? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to accept the recommendation of Trish Newcomer, Director of Economic Development and Community Relations, to approve the customer advance agreement in Chesapeake Utilities Corporation to extend natural gas service through the Western Sussex Business Campus and provide an additional $37,142 cash advance to complete the project as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. Any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do another roll call vote on this one. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you
Thank
very much. All right, next we're going to invite up Ms. Hickey to go over the Riverfest Totally Tubular Nanocoke Experience.
Good evening, Mayor and
Good
Council.
evening.
Good evening.
So, Totally Tubular on the Nanocoke. Riverfest celebrated its 28th year. As you can see, our most popular event is the annual Float-In, which did well. I will first start, I tried to make it as fun as possible, knowing this was going to be a longer meeting, but I will talk very fast. We had a lot of local main stage entertainment that included 2 local churches, the Nanocoke Indian Dance Troupe, the Sussex Sassy Dancers from our local senior center, the reunion band, Charlie and the Cool Tones, which a lot of us know and love, and Shots Fired, performed by, that was not able to perform because a storm rolled in, but he is also local, Seaford native. We also planned, we didn't get a photo, but we planned to hold an 80s hair contest on the main stage, but our lovely committee members rushed them in when it rained, and we did present them awards in council chambers for the best mullet, biggest volume, and the best 80s couple. So it was a fun time and a time of stress. We also had Jungle John's Reptile Show and balloon twisting at the children's area. We had a Jedi training show. We had a petting zoo, which is new this year, and it went pretty well as some specialty vehicles. Thank you to the fire department for providing a vehicle as a small touch-a-truck type deal. So this is just a few pictures of some of our vendors that participated, as well as the car show. We had about 65 vendors this year, which is pretty average. Many returning and then some new. We also had a car show, which had about 46 participants. Excuse me, it's a little bit lower than before, but not. But it's still pretty average. And we also had a special 80s award this year. To our beloved Float-In and I'll just say newly recovered fishing rodeo. We used to have a youth fishing tournament, but one of our city members decided to step up, that's on the committee, and host a fishing rodeo, which took place on the river. It's a boating event. They had 7 participants that had to pre-register, and he's hoping to continue to grow that throughout the next years. We had a good turnout at the float-in with, give or take, 450 registered participants, and it was held at 11 a.m. It did move a little bit slower than normal this year. The tide did. I just wanted to give a quick thanks to our dedicated staff and volunteers. The people that you see in the blue shirts are just some of our committee members. I just wanted to kind of note, we've done a little bit of research. We have around 12 committee members this year in 2023, and back in 2010 there were 35. So, and then I think we had a solid 6 group of people to clean up, which it did kind of rain, so it got shortened a bit. But without them, this event would not be a success. It would not have lasted to 28 years. So I just want to give them a special thanks for all of the work that they do. And then another special thanks to our sponsors. This wasn't really advertised as much. This was our annual poster that we usually put out, and Stephanie with our marketing department helped, and she did a really fantastic job. But this just highlighted some of our major sponsors, and I just want to take the minute to appreciate that some of these sponsors have been around for probably, I'm going to say, about 20 years, longer than my residency here. This is just a few overview kind of statistics of this year. I do want to make it noted, I messed up. The total sponsors was actually down. We had 40 sponsors this year. That was, I think, 2021's numbers. But I do kind of want to make it a point that our total volunteer and staff hours was 195 hours, give or take a few. But to have a committee of 12, this does count people that also signed up during the day. That's a lot of time and effort put in for this event, and I'm very grateful for all of them. That is my very fast overview. The committee held a wrap-up meeting on August 10th to discuss the event. As we all know, it's gotten smaller and smaller each year, so there's more continued discussion to be had and to discuss the future of the event. But with that follow-up meeting, we're planning on having a follow-up meeting. There'll be more details to come and present.
Well, I want to thank you for your leadership, and then all the city employees and others that volunteer. I know it's a ton of work, and Riverfest always seems to be about 15 degrees hotter than any other day of the year. And if you're working here, you tend to wonder if you're going to make it at one point. It crosses your mind. But I know it's a ton of work. But I know the people who do come get a lot out of it. I was so grateful this year to walk up and down the streets and see so many of our local churches represented, more than I've ever seen before. And they were enjoying themselves, talking to the people. And it's the one event we get to really truly highlight our river, which makes Seaford unique and special. So I know it's a ton of work. I'm hoping you've recovered now and have taken a breath, and we can sit back and see how Riverfest looks next year and continue doing something unique and different and special to Seaford. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have bids on the four-wheel.
Yep, four-wheel drive service truck with plow and crane. Just let me say, our Director of Public Works, Burley Mears, apologizes he could not be here. He did have a family commitment, so he asked me to go through these next few items. We did receive one bid from Hertrick Fleet Services for the 2024 service truck. The total bid was $100,046, and then the total bid less the trade was $88,246. We have dealt with Hertrick Fleet Sales extensively in the past, so he is recommending council move forward with this purchase. It was a budgeted purchase in this budget year. He did budget $100,000, so we have ample funds to award this bid should council choose to do that.
Okay, any questions in regards to the service truck? If not, I'll accept the motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Hertrick Fleet Services Incorporated for the one-ton four-wheel drive service truck with plow and crane in the amount of $88,246 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman King. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. And next we have the four-wheel drive pickup truck.
So the director also budgeted a 2024 pickup truck to replace an existing truck. Again, we only received one bid from Hertrick Fleet Sales. The total bid there was $47,342. With the trade, it was $43,842. I'll just point out that this was only budgeted this year for $40,000, so this came in at $3,842 over budget. So the director is recommending a budget overrun on this item.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to the four-wheel drive pickup truck? Councilman Henderson?
I note here in the memo that it's a 2023 truck in
Yes.
lieu of a 2024.
Yes. He checked all the specifications. It is acceptable. They do have it in production, so they offered it as a can get quicker than a 2024 bill.
Any questions from council? We don't have public questions on this part, but any other questions from council? If not, I'll accept a motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Hertrick Fleet Service Incorporated for the four-wheel drive pickup truck in the amount of $43,842 and permit a budget overrun of $3,842 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman King. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, next we have the bids on Hurley Park paving.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So we did receive several bids, 5 bids for the paving of Hurley Park Drive. As council is aware, we've been working on the project for several years. We are working with a developer who installed all the curbs, graded the road, and we did receive funding from Representative Short and Senator Richardson for this. The bidder was Jerry's Incorporated, who we work with many times in the past, have done successful work here in Seaford. The total bid was $42,320. We do have ample funds that were provided through CTF, so the director is recommending award to Jerry's Paving.
Do we have any idea when this will be done?
It'll be done this paving season. I believe
Right.
the contract was 60 days
Okay.
after award.
Councilman Henderson, did you have a question?
Yes. Now, this is just for the extension, not, I mean,
Yes, sir.
$42,000 isn't a lot of money
No.
to pave all of the drive. It's just the southerly extension.
You are correct. Yes,
Okay.
sir. The part that's not paved currently. Yep.
It's the beginning of a song I used to hear. Any other questions in regards to, I'm sorry, I got distracted, Hurley Park Drive extension? If not, I'll accept the motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Jerry's Paving for the Hurley Drive Park paving extension in the amount of $42,320 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Council King. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, then we have the fencing under the bridge on Middleford Road.
Speak about related to issues that were under the Middleford Road Bridge. That's the bridge that is just west of Title Health Nanticoke. There was some trash gathering there. There were some people going under the bridge. I believe there were some police issues there. So in our discussions with the mayor, he requested we get a price. The director of Public Works did get that price from Nanticoke Fence, who has done several of the bridges for us around town over the last few years. The total price for that, to fence that in completely, is $11,875. Should council want to do that, the recommendation is to take that funding from Chesapeake Utilities franchise fee reserve funds that we do have on hand, which the Director of Economic Development referenced earlier in the meeting. Did talk with the Director of Finance. The balance in that account at the time we looked at it earlier in the week, or last week, was so we have ample funds to do that, should council desire to move this project forward.
Okay, are there any questions regarding the installing the fence on the Middleford Road Bridge? Councilman King?
Yeah, is this job going to go out for bid?
No, it's under our requirement for bidding in the Public Works Department, so we just got a quote for it from someone that can do it. We can certainly go back out and bid it out if you'd like.
No, I'm asking, I'm curious.
We did not, we just
So
got
how do
prices.
we pick someone, we have a long-standing relationship? What does that process look like?
Yeah, they're a local firm, Nanticoke Fence. We've worked with them quite a bit. This is some specialized work because, as you can imagine, the bridge, we have to get DELDOT approval to do anything around their foundations. They get a little concerned about any bridge work that we do. They're qualified in accordance with your average installation. So we have confidence they can do it. They can do it appropriately. So they are a local vendor that we use.
For other bridges?
They did both.
So you may or may
fences.
not know this, we fenced under most of the bridges now in Seaford. They did that work, so they're familiar with what's
Oh, no,
required.
yeah,
to
they
do
do a
that.
great job. I'm just wanting people to understand who we're picking and why we're picking them.
Understood, yes, sir.
Other questions from council? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Right now, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I'll make a motion to approve the unbudgeted expenditure to install fencing under the bridge on Middleford Road west of Tidal Health Nanticoke Hospital campus with funding provided by the Chesapeake Utility Franchise Fee Reserve Funds as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, it's unanimous. Just so you're aware, it was mentioned from a citizen and how things really happen. It's great when people bring it up and we can act on them and make sure that our community is safe. I want to say for doing that. Okay, under old business, we have the second reading.
All right, this is the second reading of the changes to the Seaford zoning ordinance, section 1529, uses by right A1 to include warehouses, storage uses in association with merchandise stores, department stores, and other permitted uses in the zone. There was a public hearing as required this evening. This is the second reading. If there are no questions from council and they decide to adopt this, we will have it advertised. It will become effective 30 days after advertisement.
If not, I'll accept a motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the revisions of the Seaford zoning ordinance, section 15-29, used by right, A12, include warehouse and storage use in association with general merchandise stores, department stores, and other permitted use in the zone as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy, second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. So this will get posted
Yes,
30
sir.
days. Okay, reminder of meetings.
Just have a couple. June Merritt, Director of Finance, will be acting city manager from August 26th through September 24th. I'm sorry, September 4th. Not that long, sorry. Thank you. She would be upset with me. Seaford offices will be September 4th in observance of the Labor Day holiday. That's all I have, sir.
Real quick, do we know when the first day back to school we all gather in this year? Okay, thank you very much. So that'll get posted and everybody will be made aware of where we're, okay, great. All right, thank you for that. All right, we'll go to committee reports first with Code, Parks and Rec with Councilman Bradley.
Mr. Unorthodox.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, fellow councilmen, and guests. I'm going to start with Parks and Recs. 350 people or young men have signed up for the flag football and youth soccer. The registration is complete for the men's slow pitch softball. There's 7 teams as outlined on Katie's report. My big take is the attendance at the Friday night live event. After an 11-hour workday, can you imagine how it makes you feel to see such a large group in our downtown? I immediately wanted to join them, of course, and then was reminded I was 68. And I have to give thanks to the idea, persistence, and executions. With our rebirth downtown. Code enforcement. Mayor 1, Phase 3, 5 lots. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. Bel Air, single family. Danfield Drive, construction started on the first 10 lots. Western Sussex Business Campus site, work has started on the lot. My thoughts. I must praise Mr. Perlmutter.
Perlmutter?
On his property. The coup de grace for me and Marie happened just prior for that. I many times discussed our little walks down on the riverfront, and it was during our attempted walk, 2 intoxicated males walking up the slope of Pine Street decided to take view on the graveyard while one urinated. That put a damper on the evening, no pun intended. On a lighter note, as mentioned at a previous meeting, a late model Volvo approached the waterfront last Saturday evening while walking Scout and didn't receive any customers at his mobile location. I guess word has gotten out that Marie and I are not. This was my underlying goal, to make a beautiful area like the waterfront stay just that, stay clean. Respectfully submitted, Councilman Bradley.
Just to clarify something in your report, there is no age limit at Friday Night Live, correct? So 68 and up are allowed.
I had to work the next day.
Okay. Councilman Henderson, police and fire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a report from Fire Chief John Wilson. Fire statistics, the total, let me first give a little bit of background here. Both the police and fire reports are going to see larger numbers than normal because we've been almost a month between reports. So don't be surprised with the numbers of calls. Total number of calls for the fire department for 2023 is 668 calls for an average of 2.8 per day. In July, there were 128 calls, and it was an especially busy month with an average of 4.1 calls per day. So far in August, there's been 49 calls. In EMS, a total of 2,628 calls for an average of 11.2 calls per day. July calls were 387 for an average of 12.4 calls per day, another above average month. August calls to date are 223 calls for an average of 11 calls per day. So, in order to be a little bit more brief, I'll move down. In other statistics, there were 342 fire calls in city and 217 calls out of city for the year, and 62 assists. EMS calls, pardon me, in the city are 1,448, out of city 849, assists were 198. So you can see the totals are racking up for, on average, will be another record-breaking year. Under a number of significant incidents that I'm sure most of these will make the news. I will go down to apparatus status. Ambulance A87 is out of service. Marine 87, you might have noticed, noted that it was out of service. It's been repaired and is back in service. Ambulance B87 body work was completed. Pardon me. And it's been by Impact Graphics and Seaford. All new graphics were added to the new that's supposed to be done on the 1st of September. Under training, the last training was on August 2nd at the Station 87 for rescue grip hoist and lifting bags. 20 members were present. On Wednesday, the 16th, at the Seaford Boat Ramp, Marine Rescue 87 operation and familiarization with Station 71. 30 members were present from both stations. The next training is September 20th at Station 87, where they're going to have a training on rescue machinery and rescue basics. You'll see a chart with participation in training and the number of hours, the total man hours and counts of people there. Under EMS, while some of the ambulances were out of service, the volunteer fire department borrowed ambulance 72 from Litchfield. There was a period of time where all 3 ambulances were out of service for a couple of days, and that was on July 17th and 18th. So we want to extend our gratitude to Station 72 for the use of their equipment. There's pardon me. There's a donation of 3 new gear bags from Sussex County EMS for the department's use. Firefighter EMT Kyle Peterman has started, and he's in his stage 3 of the 4 stages for EMT FTO, which is field training. So that's the process, and he's performing well, and there's still openings, 3 openings for full-time positions and an ongoing part-time position. I will move down to the Seaford Police Department. From the period of July 24th through August 20th, you'll see that the chief has divided the year-to-date numbers and previous yearly period. Under all crimes, there were 300 all crimes, 16 felonies, 62 misdemeanors, 15 violations, and 286 other reports for an 87% clearance rate, which is just above average. It's running slightly above the city's average, which is above average for the nation. And there were a total of 33 complaints consisting of assault, burglary, fraud, larceny, weapons, rape, and robbery, 9 felonies and 24 misdemeanors, and that excludes shoplifting, and that's a 39% clearance rate, which is above average for most periods. And under drug complaints, there were 10 drug crimes with 10 arrests, no juvenile arrests. There were 4 search warrants, one overdose reported. Under traffic, there were 480 traffic contacts, resulting in 84 citations and 12 warnings. There were 52 crashes reported in this period, in a longer period than usual. But there were 6 injury accidents, 22 non-reportable, 24 reportable. 10 hit and runs, 2 bicycle accidents, and 1 pedestrian accident which occurred on private property. And we had 2 DUI-related crashes. I will leave it, I'll abbreviate it there. There were a number of significant events that were listed, and I'll allow you to review those at your pace. So I would like to take note that Sergeant Mills is the chief here?
He is not.
He's not. maybe you can clarify for me, did Sergeant Mills complete his FBI LEDA, or I think he's got 2 of the 3 courses complete?
I think you're
towards his trilogy award, so he's well on his way to achieving the FBI LEDA Command Learning Institute Trilogy Award. So if you encounter Sergeant Mills, encourage him as he completes that training. SWAT team tryouts occurred on August 2nd, and SWAT and SPEAR are synonymous. If you hear SWAT, it's not actually a SWAT team, it's a SPEAR team. So they're interchangeable, but you may hear about that coming up in the very near future. Detective James also participated in some FBI LEDA training. He participated in the Internal Affairs Investigations course. And SR Detective Wingate also participated in the Youth Crimes course. So that is going to complete my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Administration IT, Councilman Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They attended a meeting with Sussex County regarding homelessness abatement and the design review / coordination meeting regarding the Darby North and development. And they are busily preparing for the audit that's upcoming. They attended various other meetings and events, and all the business is routine. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. Electric, Councilman McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Had a few highlights real quick since the last report. The crew have trimmed the trees around town. They had an outage on Circuit 280 during a storm. It broken the cross arm in Woodside Manor, and a tail burned off. They pulled a pump for the WWTF, and they put the generation meter on a solar installation. Regarding our director, he had a standard director's meeting, staff meeting, and had to pick up serviced. Had a meeting about the 2 developments, the Western Sussex Business Campus and the Nylon Shopping Center. And he met with a resident about a solar application. Over the course of the next few weeks, they're going to start working at MSP building on Venture Drive, continue working in Bel Air single family residence section, and continue changing the lights on Sussex Highway to LED. And I do want to give a quick shout out cross department, Katie Hickey and the Parks and Rec staff. Really appreciate you guys, what you do. Blown away by Riverfest this year, but also soccer season, flag football season around the horizon. Fields are already filling up, practice already, and if you've been out there on Saturdays, Mr. Mayor, the grandchildren out there, I know you're out there, I'm out there, they are jam-packed every Saturday. You guys do a phenomenal job, really appreciate you. That's been my report.
Great job, thank you. Finally, Public Works Wastewater Treatment, Councilman King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report was submitted in its entirety. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights so we can move into executive session, starting with the Public Works Department. Wolford Street project is going well with 75% of the new sidewalks installed. The City Hall parking lot was sealed and striped. We have 2 new water services added to lots on Thompson Court, and work took place on the cleaning out the catch basin on Nylon. Water services were disconnected at the car wash so they can start with demolition. New taps were installed at Dunkin' Donuts, and the old line was abandoned due to leaking. Jumping over to the wastewater treatment facility, they installed a new dry pit submersion pump in Virginia Commons lift station. Wiring still has to take place. The preliminary plant expansion meeting was held, and the lid conversion is complete. Some of the upcoming projects over the next couple weeks, work continues with installing new water services on Pennsylvania and Shipley, replace the sewer service on Hickory, continue to paint curves, work continues on fire hydrants, and keep the plant up and running with 0 violations. And Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to take a few minutes before I conclude my report. Just thank everyone for coming out tonight. It wasn't that long. You might have the opportunity for comment. It wasn't even a part of the agenda, so it's really good to see people in our community come out and voice positives and concerns. It just makes us really understand what you guys are going through. So just coming out, and with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, we'll close our regular meeting, and I'll accept a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion from Councilman McCoy, second.
Councilman Holland, I'll second that
All
motion.
right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, thank you. Good night.